In this video, I want to talk about why letting go of someone is not actually something we do, but something that happens when we choose ourselves. Hello, beautiful soul. My name is Simi, and welcome. If you've ever tried to let go of someone you love, you already know how difficult and frustrating that can feel. When I was dealing with a breakup, especially around the time of my divorce, as months passed, um, years passed, many people around me used to tell me to just let go. Like it's something I should be able to do. Like one day I can just wake up and decide, okay, I'm letting go now. But that's not how it actually works, right? We can understand why we need to let go and still feel completely unable to do it. So when I went through that challenging period of trying to let go of a partner and I couldn't, I thought it meant I was doing something wrong. But what I've come to realize is this: letting go isn't really an action, it's a mindset, it's a surrender, it's a quiet decision to stop fighting the outcome. And honestly, when I look back at the times in my life where I thought I was letting go of someone, what amazes me now is that letting go of them was never the actual decision. The real decision was choosing myself. At the time, it didn't feel like this empowering decision, or it wasn't anything dramatic. It looked like me saying, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I can't keep putting my life on hold. And that choice, choosing myself, changed everything. And here's the thing: no one really tells us when we are going through this. We don't hold on because we're weak. We hold on because some part of us still believes there's something to be saved. Perhaps a version of the future, a version of ourselves, a version of love that felt meaningful. So when people say just let go, what they're really asking us to do, or what it feels like they're asking us to do, is give up hope. And the heart doesn't do that easily. But surrender isn't about killing hope, it's about releasing control. It's about saying, I am open to life surprising me in ways I can't plan. And that's terrifying to many of us because control feels safer than uncertainty, even when control is hurting us. When I look back, the moments where I thought I was losing someone were actually moments where I was being asked to come home to myself. And at first, that can feel lonely because when we stop centering someone else, there's space. And space can feel uncomfortable. But here's what happened in that space for me. I started learning something new, which for me was yoga, and I started writing, which honestly surprised me because I didn't know that lived inside me. I met some wonderful people I would have never met if I hadn't allowed that space to exist. And I stepped into a world of teachings that helped me come back to my body, or I should say, come back home to my body, pay attention to my thoughts, and compassionately question the stories I was telling myself about who I was and about the people around me. It was in that space that I began connecting with my body and mind rather than running around convincing myself I was being productive and helpful in all the roles I was playing. And in that connection, my body got stronger physically. I started paying attention to what I was eating. I wasn't leaning into any of this because I was trying to prove anything or because I wanted to be seen or chosen by someone. I started taking care of my body simply because through reflective and meditative practices, it finally hit me that I was chosen to experience this life through this body. And from then on, once I truly embodied that understanding, it became an honor to take care of this body. I also started showing up differently at work. I showed up more grounded. I was less afraid to speak my truth. And to my surprise, that's when the promotion came. Not because I was in any way chasing it. As a matter of fact, while going through all the challenges at that time, getting a promotion was the last thing on my mind, but it still happened simply because I chose to come home to myself. And something else shifted, something quieter, but even more important. I stopped fighting my thoughts. Instead of trying to silence my mind or force positivity, I learned how to work with my thoughts rather than against them. I learned how to observe them without them running my life. And none of that came from letting go of a person. It came from stopping the habit of abandoning myself. This is the part I really hope you hear because I wish someone had reminded the younger version of me. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you harden your heart. It doesn't mean the love wasn't real. It just means you stop asking someone else to be the center of your life. In other words, you stop placing the key to your peace and happiness in someone else's hands. And I I want to clarify something here. When we hear choose yourself, many of us think it means make yourself happy at all costs, as if choosing ourselves means becoming self centered. It means caring less about others, or that it's about chasing pleasure or comfort. But that's not what this is. Choosing yourself isn't about prioritizing happiness, it's about returning home to yourself. For me, it was the realization that somewhere along the way, I left my own center. I began anchoring my sense of worth, my sense of direction, my sense of meaning outside of myself, in another person, in a role, in being needed, in being chosen. The truth is, when we haven't really come back home to ourselves, the way we give can start to feel complicated and confusing. There may be care there may also be love, but there's also this quiet resentment we don't always talk about, and this tiredness that builds up over time. So we keep showing up out of obligation, or because we are scared of losing love, or because deep down we just want to be seen, needed, maybe chosen. I have learned from my experiences that that kind of giving doesn't come from joy. It doesn't come from a place of joy. It comes from not feeling anchored within ourselves. But when we return to ourselves, when we become our anchor again, something shifts. We stop asking others to complete us. We stop needing them to validate our worth. And it is from that grounded place, I truly believe we can actually start caring even more deeply than before, not less. Because now our love isn't coming from lack, it's coming from wholeness, it's coming from clarity. And this is what I personally think true joy is. Joy isn't about this constant feeling of happiness. I find it to be quieter than that. It's this steady feeling of being aligned with who we are. And when I serve from that kind of joy, I notice my presence changes, my energy changes. Um, my giving feels more clean, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel draining, resentful. It doesn't feel performative. So, choosing yourself doesn't mean you stop loving others. It means you stop abandoning yourself while you love them. And that's the difference. Because so often, without even realizing it, we organize our lives around someone else's presence or absence, like our partner, our children, our friends. And it is their presence or absence that end up controlling or dictating our moods, our motivation, our sense of worth. So letting go begins the moment we say, I am not going to pause my becoming anymore. And something else surprised me in my own journey. Sometimes we think we're attached to a person, but we're actually attached to an identity, who we were with them, who we thought we would become, the role we were playing, like the partner, the wife. When these identities fall away, it can feel like we're losing the foundation, the ground beneath us. But that's also where freedom starts, because then life asks us a deeper question. Who are we without the roles, without the titles, without the relationship status, the job, the money, the achievements? Who are we when none of that is defining us? And that's not an easy question, but it is an honest one. In that honesty, something really beautiful can happen. We start rediscovering joy, not the loud kind, not the performative kind, the kind that doesn't need an audience, the kind that doesn't need an approval. Maybe it shows up for you in the form of movement or creativity, long walks, learning something new, or simply being present without trying to become anything. And this kind of joy doesn't replace love, it grounds it. And the more rooted we become in this joy, the less desperate our heart feels for someone else to complete us. And this is why I believe surrender is not giving up. It's trusting ourselves enough to meet life as it unfolds. We don't actually need to decide if someone is meant to stay or leave. Our job isn't to control the ending. Our job is to stay aligned with ourselves, no matter the ending. And when we do that, something shifts. And if a connection returns, it meets us as who we've become. And if it doesn't, we realize we finally came home to ourselves. And that's the real win. So if you're in the middle of letting go right now, be gentle with yourself. You don't need to force your heart to release anything. You just need to stop gripping the future. Letting go happens naturally when we commit to our own growth, our own joy, our own becoming. Not because you stopped loving someone, but because you finally chose yourself. If this felt like something you needed to hear today, I invite you to sit with this one question with no pressure. What would choosing myself look like today? If any of this resonated, take it gently with you. You don't have to rush it or figure it all out right now. Till next time, be kind to yourself. Stay wise, stay curious, and may your path be guided by love.